Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, it's a husky that thinks it's a kitty.
Sometimes she does act like a kitty.
Welcome. Come on in. I'm Reverend Dr. Kathleen Kennedy. It's your best you.
And I'm Joan Kazmarczyk, your co-host. Welcome. Come on in.
Yeah, come on in. That's my casual invitation to you. You know, check out the set. As you know, I change the setup for every show, and because we're so linked to our community, when this shows up around our season for the autumn and Halloween, so I brought in sounds.
The rustling leaves of fall.
Yeah, the rustling leaves of fall, and some pumpkins, and jack-o'-lantern,
And some Kit Kats.
so here we are. Your best you, and it's Chakra 5, and that's the color blue. So it's a bright, bright blue. Chakra 5 is, you know, and it's your throat. It's the throat chakra. You know.
Yeah.
So, what do you know about blue, and what's up with you with the blue and the throat chakra, Joan? You've been through a couple of the shows with us. You know, we just came from the heart.
Yes, we did.
Okay, which was green.
Yep.
Right. And, you know, I've been talking specifically to everyone around.
That's being able to speak, to express yourself.
Okay, it's about communication.
Communication, yeah.
So communication is never just about what you say out of your mouth. Think about communication, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Oh yeah, there's so many routes of communication these days.
Right, but I'm specifically going to be talking today about the different types of communications and how you can tune into that during this magical time of the year. And I have a little story to tell you too.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
So it's going to be some interesting information. But yeah, think about it. Sound. Sound is a lot bigger than we think, right? Sound can be different for everyone. Sound has a different kind of vibrational frequency. Sound has a purpose, right?
Yeah.
But then so does the speaking and the hearing of it.
Yeah.
So communication is never just about what's coming out of a person's mouth. And you'll hear someone say, I told them this, and the other person can say, that's not what I heard.
Yeah.
I did not hear that. Nor did your actions, what I saw.
Yeah, they
didn't support that either.
They didn't.
And you know, I had this weird feeling too. I sensed something.
Yeah.
So, you know, this whole thing, but you know, I'm open. I'm willing to hear what the other person has to say. That is communication. So communication has to do with this kind of ability to verbalize,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but to look,
Yeah.
and to listen,
Right. And sometimes
and to sense, and to receive. So I have 5 levels of communication. And each of the things that you may think about, they're going to fit into those categories of basically knowing, seeing, hearing, feeling, and receiving. Because let me tell you something about things like speaking. If a person has a certain knowing and a perception of something, it really doesn't matter what you say, you see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's all these different layers, and a person can come in with a preconceived concept. So, you know, when we communicate, and if I was facilitating a workshop, for example, in a company, and this would be one of the first things that I'd go through. I'd go through the 5 levels of this. And then it's individually up to each individual person to generate that development within themselves, and then bring that back into a group, and then there would be group work, etc. That would help to facilitate that process. But nevertheless, it is an individual process, and that's why I do Your Best You. And I work with the energy centers so that we have something that's actually real, which we know now is real,
Yeah.
within ourselves. We're electricity. We can tap into these new layers with our awakened consciousness. Being woke has a lot of layers to it too.
Yes,
If you communicate and you go through this and you think, wow, what do I know about that? What's my perceived concept of that? What have I seen? Okay. What do I hear? Perception.
There's two perceptions on that. One is, of course, with the kids, with the trick or treating, and how much fun that was, for us as children, and then as being the guests, or rather the hosts, shall we say, when the kids come to the door for trick or treating. And I remember that year that we were living in New Britain and just seeing all the kids and all the costumes and how much fun they were having.
Oh yeah, okay, so I hear what you're saying. Okay, yes. Halloween, trick or treat, vocalization.
Yeah.
And then that story, trick or treat, Halloween, has a history and development of it. So that when we're communicating, even say something as a holiday, the first thing Joan said was, well, there are so many different perceptions of it. Exactly. That's my point entirely. It's that we can, of course, go through life with our own preconceived concept and basically not really be able to get past the phase of being able to be receptive at all. Because maybe you can't get past the way it feels, or you're sensing something, And so it's a very challenging thing to be here all together on the planet Earth, and be thinking that in any shape, manner, or form we should all unify and be, the same, and what will that create? That's a Halloween nightmare. You've seen it, the zombies walking around.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, that's the image that I see when I see that everyone has been homogenized to the point that the creative element, because in order to have Chakra 5 working, you can't be a robot because you want to be creative.
Right.
Why? Because it involves all these different layers of understanding.
Yeah.
So your eyes may say something, or your sense may say something, and your mind may say something. Okay. And your heart may say something, because the heart's going to be the receptive. Remember I told you the chakras run through our system. There's so many of them, but the main 7 run up, almost like you're talking about your
almost
vagus nerve down through your sciatica nerve, and like your heart pumping through your veins. These are the energies within us, and they dwell in certain regions predominantly of the body. And then that infiltrates out because everything is energy, and energy is fluid. It has no boundary, right? We try to contain it, right? But if something happens, it's like, uncontained energy.
Right.
So, I was putting down something about Halloween, and let me just check my notes because I didn't look at them this morning. So Halloween was influenced by the Celtic Harvest Festival, October 31st, the eve of All Saints' Day. And it originated in the ancient Celtic festival called, Samhain. And I thought, okay, I've heard all that. But then I didn't know about this. That is related to Blue Christmas. Okay. The people would light the bonfires around this time, October 31st, and they would wear costumes to ward off the ghosts. Think of gargoyles put on buildings designed to fend off the evil spirits. But Pope Gregory transformed Halloween.
Oh.
And when he transformed Halloween by claiming November 1st as All Saints' Day, to honor all the saints. And that transformed again by incorporating All Saints' Day with Samhain. And then we had All Halloween's Eve, or All Hallows' Eve, or All Saints' Eve. So even something as simple as you think, oh, it's just this, well, it's a lot. It really is a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot around it. and we and then the blue Christmas is the kind of winter solstice, December 21st. And that's the day the sun stays hidden the longest.
Yeah.
I'll have a blue, blue Christmas without you, right? Because you're all alone and it's all dark and it's going to be a blue Christmas. And we got that coming in through our time. But I just think it's just so interesting when we start to talk about communication and we come through a phase like we have, because I'm going to keep it fresh and relevant, over the past 2 years and a half of this wonderful way that we have communicated with this particular virus and its constituent beings that were formed out of the mutations of the development of our wonderful ways to control it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I'll speak as artfully and diplomatically around that as I possibly can.
Right.
But you know, it's kind of this sense of okay, so here we are, and you know, what are we going to do now when all of a sudden everything that was supposedly really, really scary, ooh, is now treat.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying, I thought I'd just kind of blend it together because you know me. I'm always going to keep it fresh and relevant for us. But I just find it fascinating. And so that brought me to the story of Jack-o'-lantern.
Ah.
You know. And I thought, isn't this interesting how, you know, everything that we do kind of comes around and mixes around. You know, we got a lot of goblins and scary things on at Halloween.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And the jack-o'-lantern in itself is very, very scary.
Yeah.
Because there's a story. There was a fella named Jack, okay, and he wasn't the best of fellas, kind of a ne'er-do-well, always out having his little good times all the time, see. And so what ends up happening is one night, when Jack is coming home, he's really, really, really not doing too well on this walk home. He's having, you know, a good time and blah, 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 blah,
Maybe
blah.
stopped at the pub for a few.
And so along the path, he meets the devil.
Oh dear.
Right. And along the path, he realizes it's the devil. And he's very smart. And he puts the sign of the cross in the trunk of a tree. And it captures the devil and holds the devil long enough for Jack to make a deal with the devil.
Aha.
You can never take my soul down into the, you know, Hades. Okay. You can't have my soul, that's the deal. And I'll let you out of the tree. Devil, see? Jack. Okay. So Jack makes the deal with the devil and does that. And then, you know, Jack continues on his near-to-the-wall ways.
Yes.
Because, you know, Jack didn't have to learn anything. He tricked the devil, right? Jack. Yeah.
Or so he thought.
So then, well, I didn't know you knew the story.
I don't.
Oh,
I'm
so
just,
then Jack, you know, gets into, you know, life, and life says, bye, your time's up, bing, bing. No one knows for whom the bell tolls, but it tolled for Jack that day. And then Jack goes, hey, God, can I come in? And God's like, hey, man, no. You know, you just kept doing your thing. You can't come into heaven. So Jack goes, oh, yeah, I'll go back to the devil. And he goes to the devil and says, hey, I want to come in. And the devil says, we made a deal and I'm going to keep to our bargain, Jack. So yeah, no, you can't come into hell either. Pardon the swear word, but you know what I'm saying. It's heaven and the hell, right? So Jack ends up, you know, basically wandering. And in his wandering, he takes a candle and he puts it inside the gourd. And that's the jack-o'-lantern, Jack's lantern, and how he wandered the earth where he couldn't get into heaven and he couldn't get into hell. because he was not really living a life that was his best you.
Right.
And he bargained with the devil.
So he couldn't go the other way.
And he kind of like falsified the reality of God or
Yeah.
something, except when the bell tolled.
Yes.
Now God, help me. I don't know. I just think it's an interesting story because
it
is a frightening figure. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is just, we have all these stories. Like, this is our communication. So we've been communicating this kind of sense of, hey, look, don't bargain with the devil. And, don't live a life that's so raucous and, unworthy of, the heaven's gates.
Yeah, right.
Okay, kind of thing,
Yeah.
I guess, is the message that I see.
Right.
But it's also frightening mixed with a lot of other
Sure.
messages that was really designed to actually entertain the dark, to accept the fact that we had a shadow, the spiritual side of it, let's say, the shadow within us, and that we have this kind of bargaining concept with the devil. And once we can understand that we have a dark side and our shadow side, it doesn't have power over the person. And you don't end up seeing a lot of what we're seeing now, which is toxic workplaces, toxic bosses. It's even that term, I don't even like it, but it's just that what's happened is in the development of our generation, and then in future generations, obviously, but we've kind of like not really been awake. There's been a non-awareness. We've slowly evolved. And then we have, as I've said before in the history frame of one of the 60 shows I've done, we have these huge leaps. And we leap in our consciousness. And that's what we did during our generation. We went from basically, crazy to Roswell to leap. Okay, I'm just being honest about it. So one of the things that love does is it doesn't judge. So love says, wow, man, we might not have handled this situation that we've just come through, perfectly.
Yeah.
But, let's not just all throw caution to the wind as we go out into the holidays, is basically what Reverend Dr. Kathleen Fennedy is saying. Be aware that no matter what's going on, you're not a puppet to the dictates of what everyone else is telling you should or shouldn't do, particularly when it comes to your health and your well-being. Okay? And therefore you don't want to be a walking zombie, and you don't want to give up your selfhood. You're not that clever. Locking the devil in the tree, right, is basically the thing. So, that's where I was with that, and I thought, well, isn't it interesting, because Halloween is scary. And then I started thinking about, blue and blue pumpkins, right? Well, the blue pumpkin is a very important pumpkin, and it has a huge symbol. And I don't know if you know what the blue pumpkin is.
No, I don't.
But the blue pumpkin is something that we can place or show within our community that lets the people who are coming know that we're autistic aware. And in our United States of America, the statistic at this point is 1 in about 54 children born are born on the autistic spectrum.
Wow.
So something that could be fun and spooky to one person could be, just like I've said it, 4th of July, to a war vet, could trigger post-traumatic stress episode crazy. To an autistic child, we want to be sensitive. And that's what communication is. So when we're communicating even our festivity, are we aware of our neighbors?
Yeah.
Are we aware of what's going on around us? Are we sensitive enough to know, that, hey, if I put out a turquoise pumpkin, that means I'm not serving anything that could provide allergies. Or I'm serving some, but I also have alternative non-allergy. It's just a way of being, communicating
Right.
what would be a regular, very well-received type of mutual holiday, even though it's done so very differently. And its origin and how it started is very different, as I said. But then to realize that it's that blue and the blue Christmas. So we have October 31st, November 1st, and then December 21st. There's a lot coming up.
Yeah,
So
there
here
is.
on the You Best You, I just decided I'd do the Halloween show now, and then I'll do this is our last show for the summer season. So I figured I'd do it, well, we're really at the end of August.
Yeah.
But, you know, this goes up on the YouTube, and if you see it on YouTube, hi, and you can, you know, share it and like and comment and, you know, do those communication things that we do so well.
Yeah.
You know.
They'll get first crack at seeing it.
Well, YouTube does, yes. My YouTube followers would be the first one.
Yeah.
If you're subscribed, you'd be getting it right away. Okay, so I did that jack-o'-lantern, and I did talk about the blue pumpkin. So we're becoming more aware in our culture of that we're not all the same, okay? And, you know, and embracing this difference amongst us is a beautiful, ultimate human purpose. Love one another, you know. I don't really care what you make. I honestly don't, you know, I'm talking, you know, goddess, creator, God, the origin, the one. I don't care what you're making. I don't really care, okay? Now, for some cultures, depending upon their religions, it would say, well, it matters because you need to put several away and take care of generations of your family. Well, in these times now, a lot of the family aren't having children. There is no generations of anything.
Exactly.
It stops. So there's a lot. You can put it into foundations. There's all different ways to move that chakra of money around that's in a positive way. And you can tap into that because it's an important part of a karmic cycle. So, you know, how your money is used and what you use your money for and where you get your money from and all that, it's all connected. Why? Because everything is energy. And money is one of our biggest transfers of energy, power, money, you know, really think about it. So, you know, I heard one of the speakers on TMZ saying something like, well, she said, a guy can be 5 foot tall, because they were talking about this shorter man, like whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
But he's dating this tall, thin, you know, stick model.
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody's like drooling at that. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, that's a weird program.
Yeah, it is.
But then on the second layer of it, they're astounded about the connection. And then on the third layer, the other one says, the only reason why there's that connection is because of this. So that's perceived. All right? That's called perceived knowledge. It's already there. It's part of your world programming. This is what I believe. And I have to believe this because this is what's safe and it's a firm foundation. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to join with a bunch of other people who believe the same thing. Okay? It doesn't really matter what it is. It could be good or it could be not good.
Yeah.
But there's power in the strength and the sense of mutual numbers.
Yeah.
You know, that's where was that all gang theory comes from. But it's that same concept of, you know, numbers. So, blue pumpkins, blue Christmas, blue. Blue is light and bright, and then it moves into like a very dark, indigo, almost black blue. Blue is an interesting color.
Sure. Because even think of in the sky, the blue sky during the day, and then it goes into the dark blue of the evening and the night.
Yeah. Blue is a beautiful part of our existence.
It's a beautiful color.
And embracing that concept of that we have the light and we have the dark, and it is a choice. Everything comes down to like these choices, jack-o'-lantern, you know.
Yeah.
No one wants to roam the earth with a lantern and a lit gourd with a candle in it, you know,
with nowhere to go.
because there's no sense of home,
Yeah.
so to speak. I don't know if there's anything else. Oh yeah, there was something else. I'm talking to the back of the camera, but I went out the other day to my garden, and I hi Chrissy. I pulled out some Russian sage that I planted, so I thought that'd be pretty. I'm gonna bring it in. It's the Russian sage. Let's see. It's really a delicate leaf.
Yes.
And it's not easy for me to grow this plant, and I am pretty, yes, sweetheart. I'm pretty adept with most of the plants I work
You're
with.
more than pretty adept.
But I've had to move this plant now, and I'm
Yeah,
just,
it wasn't happy where you had it originally.
no, it didn't like being with the lavenders. It didn't want to compete. So it just said, no, thou shalt not compete. My Crystal, she's got her kitty ears on. Yes. Now shake it off. What did you do with it? Little baby. Okay, so
She's shaking it off.
Shake it off, baby, right? So yeah, the Halloween is here, and you'll be hearing more about what's going on with Chakra. Well, we're going up to 6.
Yes.
6, but open up, you know, realize that, you know, there's a lot of ownership with communicating.
She has no problem
And,
with her chakra.
And I guess that's about it, I think, coming up close to the show. But yeah, you know, communicating is definitely a developmental. Everyone has to keep learning how to communicate. Even if somebody says, I'm a great listener. Not if you can't talk well. You can't be one or the other. Communication is a whole experience. We communicate with our body non-verbally, okay? We communicate with words that may not match what our body or our face is doing. There's a lot of layers on communication.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And that takes the responsibility of the individual who's articulating themselves to the world to own that. And then that begins to develop, and, you know, check out the chakras. I'm here for you. You know I love you guys. I brought the oak leaves in. Autumn is in the air. All right. I guess that's it, Joan. You want to lead everybody out?
Sure. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you'll join us again for Chakra 6. And I hope you have a wonderful day and learn and talk, communicate with each other, with others, and share that. We love you. We look forward to seeing you again for our next show.
Thanks, Joan. That's great. I always appreciate you coming on. I love that you're a part of this, and that we're learning and growing together as we evolve. And I thank Nutmeg TV. Always, this is the end of another summer season with you. Thank you so very much for everything you do. I appreciate everyone at Nutmeg TV. And if you haven't seen any, go on over and check it out. There's a lot of good shows. I mean, I just watched the show called Kiss the Frog, and it was so funny. So you might want to check that out. It's informative and it's cute. It's just different. So check it out. I'm just doing a shout out to Charlene and Kiss the Frog. Being that it's Halloween. Bye.
Bye,
Love ya.
See you next time.